I'm Neely Jones, your host of Focus on Suppliers. This week we have a very special, one-of-a-kind show in store for you where we pick the Retail Year in Review, where Ethan Walton picks the top 8 headlines, the stories that matter to you. You'll hear industry thought leaders offer their insights about memorable news and trends of the past 12 months, and there certainly was no shortage of vendor news. Now, what do you think are the top 8 headlines? Let's find out together. Focus on Suppliers starts now.
Focus on Suppliers is presented by Ethan Walton, the premier destination for supplier development, and sponsored in part by Dun & Bradstreet, Saatchi and Saatchi X, CaseStack, Excel Displays and Packaging, and other outstanding companies.
Produce is so important to a grocer, and it really is the thing that sets the tone for the rest of the store.
And when you walk in the store at Walmart or any retailer who's in the grocery business, that produce piece represents color and it represents motivation and certainly fresh. That's a place where you win.
Making sure that produce is well managed, that it shows the best of fresh, that it helps people understand that they are in a store that values the freshness of the product that it sells is critical to getting people to come to Walmart and to be anchored to Walmart as their chief retailer. The challenges that they have include keeping produce stocked well, keeping produce reflecting that fresh ideal that's so important, and ensuring that when consumers come into that sector, that segment of the store, that they really understand that they're seeing the best product that Walmart has to put on the shelf.
You have the produce shopper, you have a shopper that will make many trips to the store. If you're known for a quality produce, having quality produce, and having what people need every day, they will shop your store more often, and we've all experienced it. Once you're in the store, you're gonna spend more. And that's proven in any market basket. You got the produce customer, you got the largest basket.
Walmart investing in its associates is fantastic for Walmart as well as for the suppliers. It really puts the focus back on the store floor.
Walmart's core value, right, is its people, and it's been that since Mr. Sam founded the company. And to me is what Doug announced in 2015 of spending over $2.7 billion in wages and training is just a showcase of, to be frank, what I think they've always done. I think it tells a lot of other companies of how do we also do that, because it's about the people who work for you that make the company what it is. And I find that fascinating, right? Walmart employs over 2.2 million people globally, over half of them in the US. So to me, that investment back into them and into their futures is what I expect Walmart to do, what I think they've always done, and what I think other companies should also use them as a bit of a role model. If I then kind of break it down and stop and say, what are they doing? Wages, right? We spend a lot of time talking about how do we save our shoppers money so they can live better. And to me, this wage increase is enabling the employees to live better. So that's the starting point. Then the investment in the training program. Walmart's always been the place that you can be what you want to be, right? You see so many examples of store associates becoming store managers and then going into the home office. And I think that is what they've built the great company on. So I look at the training programs of facilitating that even more, right? Which then the business part of it comes in is you are teaching people to do things better, to do them differently. And it's evident in the stores. By adding department managers, by training department managers, training store managers, you can see a difference in the stores. The stores are more clean, they are faster, they are more friendly. So it is paying dividends, right? From the human side of what I believe the company's always done, and then the business side for the shopping experience, to truly embody against the customer and also the employee of saving money and living better.
I would say that $1 billion investment was a wise decision.
When you look at Walmart's effort to touch base with the millennials and really win them over, I think the most astounding thing is that people thought they couldn't or wouldn't.
Walmart's really going after the millennial generation directly in a couple of important ways. They're changing the nature of the product line. They're expanding their fresh and their prepared food options, which are so important to millennial families. They're pushing into directions where millennials see themselves reflected in Walmart in a way that perhaps they haven't up until now.
Millennials are really changing the face of retail, and Walmart is really paying attention to those. Online grocery, grocery pickup, which is affecting all generations, but the millennials seem to really be into it. And now millennials outnumber baby boomers, and they're entering their prime spending years.
We know that the Walmart app is the third most used retail app, and I know that they want to increase that number for sure, but what they're doing in a really smart way is creating a really easy and simple way for millennials or Gen Xers to engage in their pre-shopping and shopping environment. So if we're thinking about how a device is used in store or in our pre-shop experience, those are things that are all going to connect back to millennials.
They're looking at all the ways that millennials interact with a store today. If a product is missing, if there's an out of stock, what does the millennial mom do? She goes right to her phone. She doesn't have time to ask anybody for help. She's not interested in someone getting her help. She wants to know where the product is. That loss of sale that comes from an out of stock could potentially be permanent.
So you have to make the in-store shopping experience something that's going to resonate with them. They're not necessarily looking to stock up on every visit. They may want to be able to use a drive-through to pick up the products that they need. They want to be able to order from home and have things that are going to compete directly with Amazon Prime and have the same level of convenience.
When we engage millennials and even Gen Xers, they want content, and they want that content to feel unique and fresh and really personalized to them. And so they're smart enough to understand all of this technology means that we know who and what they're shopping for. And so how we deliver and create content that really delivers on the questions that are unique to them is really going to increase loyalty and connectivity back to that retailer.
Follow 8th and Walton on Twitter.
CaseStack, the leader in collaborative retail consolidation programs. We offer the supply chain expertise needed to navigate the challenges of selling products with the world's largest retailers. And we provide customers with a customizable, scalable, environmentally sustainable supply chain with the same advanced technology typically used by larger rivals. By leveling the playing field, CaseStack lowers distribution costs and increases overall margins. CaseStack, retail logistics is what we do.
Join YouthBridge to make this season extra special for the hundreds of young people who face this time of year cold, hungry, and alone. You can help us provide food, shelter, and gifts so they can experience the same blessings as many of us. Go to youthbridge.com for your tax-deductible donation.
Bentonville Plaza, across the street from the Walmart home office. The best office location offers proximity and services like no other business complex in the area. Call 479-200-1112 today.
You just had your buyer meeting. Now there's follow-up to do. Maybe your buyer wants more on seasonal sales, or invited you to prepare a joint business plan or set up a date for your line review. 8th and Walton can help. Our experts work with you one-on-one in a confidential setting to prepare for your next buyer meeting. The classes we offer help you too. Retail Link, Supply Chain Management, Inventory Management, taught in cities across the country, in Canada, and in Latin America. So before your next buyer meeting, contact 8th and Walton. Then relax, knowing that you will be ready.
The emerging consumer is interested in where something comes from. They have a preference toward local if local is available. They're interested in things like clean labels. They're interested in reduced packaging. All these things have environmental and social impacts. And I think the focus on sustainability will continue because it's good business. It's good for the bottom line, and it's good for the brand image that stores and companies like Walmart and others really want to have that will resonate with their consumer.
When you look inside how the practice of sustainability gets delivered, it's everything from improved technologies in packaging, in printing, to how things move in freight lanes and the distribution pieces. We talk about supply chain, but sustainable savings are in the supply chain, and it's in the merchandising that is in the stores. It's everywhere.
By and large, the consumer packaged goods suppliers are rallying around it because they realize that it's something that this emerging demographic that has purchasing power is requiring. It's not optional. You have to have clean labels. You have to have ingredients in food products that people are going to recognize. There's an interest in knowing where the products come from. All those things play into this idea of sustainability and resilience of products. And it's just an overall good play in general.
Packaging, distribution, logistics, all of those issues are part of what makes sustainability important to Walmart.
I think it's great that Doug continues to be focused and drive the importance of sustainability. It's not hogwash. I mean, it's real.
Walmart's focus on the must-arrive-by date will shrink the window, which will mean that suppliers will have to spend a little more time from now till February 1st when it goes into effect to make sure that we've put processes in place that allow us to move faster and be able to help get product to the distribution centers as well as the stores quicker than what we are today. Compressing the must-arrive-by date window ultimately is advantageous to the suppliers because it'll allow us to flow product more effectively and get it to the shelf quicker so that we don't miss out on sales opportunities and it's there when the customer arrives. There will be challenges with the shortening of the must-arrive-by date window expectations. I would suggest if there are suppliers that haven't started thinking about how they're going to comply in this new environment, they should not waste any more time. They should be working towards that because February 1st will be here before you know it.
So the biggest challenge for a supplier when Walmart transitions to this one-day window, anyone that's shipping prepaid, LTL, or parcel will be getting the appointment. Let's say you have a 3-day transit. It gets there in 3 days. Then they go to schedule the appointment. If you have an MABD of a 4-day window and it expires tomorrow and you can't get an appointment for tomorrow, you've missed it. There's nothing you can do. Not to mention all these packaging changes that Walmart implemented this past year. A big reason for the packaging changes was so product can flow through the warehouse to hit the one-day window.
If Walmart is able to tighten that window and enforce that tight window around its large suppliers, it's going to let Walmart do something very important, and that is streamline the operations in back office, streamline the operations in back of store, and streamline the operations in distribution. Doing those three things will drastically help Walmart's own internal costs. It'll put associates in front of consumers more and keep them out of the back rooms, allowing them to do more value-added work rather than low value-added work. Hard food discounting is definitely a threat to Walmart. They are in many ways trying to do to Walmart what Walmart did to everybody else. Playing the price game against hard food discounters is going to be very challenging, but playing the assortment and the service game may be a place where Walmart can truly compete with them. I think suppliers need to be aware of where the challenge is coming from and how their role complements the role of Walmart. By making product easier to distribute, easier to shelve, easier to manage once it's in the back room of a store, all of those things help Walmart compete on a labor hour basis with what goes on at hard discounters. And helping Walmart to compete should be the role of every supplier.
If Aldi is able to win the consumer on a particular item to draw them in the store and then get the rest of the basket, it's an interesting strategy. It's an interesting play.
We have history on our side to tell us what's going on there. If you look at what's happened in the last 10 years, 10 to 15 years in Europe and in the UK, they have taken on world-class retailers and totally disrupted their business. And they have a proven model that works and has worked everywhere they've gone. And the next place they will be going in full force will be here in the U.S. Aldi's already has around 1,600 stores. Little & Shorts will be coming soon. But these hard food discounters have a real strong appeal. And once a customer understands what they are, who they are, what value they have in the store, they move very quickly to a very loyal shopper. It will disrupt the market, and Walmart has to position itself to be ready for it. The expenses need to be in line so that they're able to offer the best prices. Cost of goods have to be right. They will be focusing on private label and developing that, because you have to have that to take these hard food discounters head on.
Follow us on Instagram at 8th and Walton.
Armatron impressed me when I bought a watch in 2005 before my second deployment to Iraq. And on that deployment, I was hit by a roadside bomb, and I was wearing that Armatron watch. It's almost as if that watch was a part of me. It went through the explosion. It sat in a drawer, lonely. It was like my depression. And to pull it out, clean it off, put it on, and it still worked, is my story.
Join YouthBridge to make this season extra special for the hundreds of young people who face this time of year cold, hungry, and alone. You can help us provide food, shelter, and gifts so they can experience the same blessings as many of us. Go to youthbridge.com for your tax-deductible donation.
You just had your buyer meeting. Now there's follow-up to do. Maybe your buyer wants more on seasonal sales, or invited you to prepare a joint business plan or set up a date for your line review. 8th and Walton can help. Our experts work with you one-on-one in a confidential setting to prepare for your next buyer meeting. The classes we offer help you too. Retail Link, Supply Chain Management, Inventory Management, taught in cities across the country, in Canada, and in Latin America. So before your next buyer meeting, contact 8th and Walton. Then relax, knowing that you will be ready.
So as we're talking about the top 8 headlines of the year, we want to talk about the hottest books of the year. And with us today is the EVP, as well as Chief Marketing Officer from ReaderLink, Mike Hesselbach. Thank you for being with us and talking about the hottest books. What has been most popular? What would you say the top 10 might be?
Oh, our top 10 this year, there was very few surprises this year. We were fortunate enough to have a Harry Potter book this year, and Harry Potter is like the best-selling books ever other than the Bible. And so this was our #1 book this year. We also have some of the normal everyday authors that people would recognize. Nicholas Sparks always has a book out, and Bill O'Reilly, of course, has his. And then the other ones that make it are books that are great books that made it into the movies, like Girl on the Train. One of the phenomena that we've had over the last few months is adult coloring books. And this particular book made it into the top 10 this year because it's really kind of cross-generational. Everybody loves the color. Everybody likes to relax.
So let's talk just a little bit about the dynamic between print and ebooks. Share some of that information with us.
Well, print books are 80% plus of the business that is done in the industry today. That's very different than the other media categories of video and music, which is predominantly electronic or streamed. We see that this trend continues, and in fact, our research shows us that millennials prefer to have print books, which is really very different than what they like for their other media, the music and the video. Again, so they like to touch it, they like to feel it, they like to hold it, and people who went to E early on tried it. Some liked it and wanted to stay. About 6% of the people read E, but most of them came back to print books because it was just an easier format for them and they liked the experience.
How do you balance the challenge of making sure you have the right assortment and selection within a physical store?
Yeah, it really depends on how much space we get in each store. We have departments that vary greatly from 4 feet to 200 feet. So it really depends on the space. We need enough space that we'd like to be able to provide a breadth of product because the consumer is really looking for selection. But regardless of what size we're given, we basically make sure that we're putting the best books for that store in that department.
And so where's the best position for these print books to be located, say, in a Walmart store?
Our experience is the best place is across from the electronics area where they have 2 action alleys going by it. It's very impulse driven. People come in and they recognize that there's a book department and then they start browsing it.
So you mentioned impulse. Are there other places where there can be an impulse display that benefit you?
Yes, often throughout the year, especially in the seasonal times, we have opportunities to place out of the department products. And when we do that, we see an incredible lift, 400 or 500% of what we would have gotten had we stayed in the department, because we just get an opportunity to get those people that I'll call casual readers, that all of a sudden they walk by the display and say, oh, I didn't know that was out, or I forgot it was Halloween's coming up, I'm going to buy a book. And we get a very nice reaction from the consumers for that.
So we're talking about looking to 2016, the past. Let's talk about what you see as an emerging trend for 2017.
For 2017 at Walmart, we're really focusing on new release and bestsellers. That's the lifeblood of the department. That's why people come to the department to see what's new and exciting, and we're going to really focus on that this year within all of the departments.
And will we still see coloring books? Will they still be trending?
Absolutely. Coloring books will continue trending. It's become a full-blown category that is here to stay.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on The Countdown.
E-commerce is disrupting retail in such a large way that when we look back, when our kids look back and our grandkids look back and study, this is going to have as large of an impact as the Industrial Revolution did on the American economy and the American way of life.
So e-commerce is the most disruptive aspect of the retail revolution as we would define it. And it's disruptive because it speaks to the way the emerging buyer wants to buy. The experience of a supercenter is not for everyone. Some people are just not going to enjoy that experience. Younger people who are in their careers and they're professionals, they don't necessarily have the time to go in and experience a supercenter type of scenario. They'd rather have something delivered to their house, or they'd rather pick it up on the way home. And I think both those things are readily being addressed by Walmart's initiatives.
So what's really important for retailers is thinking about how they are going to look at their strategy with all of these different types and ways that shoppers can actually buy. So whether I'm online, whether it's a mobile environment, whether I'm going in store or doing grocery pickup, how is the retailer thinking about what is the right communication strategy for me in all of those different areas?
According to the National Retail Federation, this Black Friday and the Thanksgiving holiday are the first time that millions more people shopped online than going into the store. That's huge. We're now seeing that impact on our shopping experience and our retail experience, and it's not going to reverse. It's going to stay that way.
Amazon has had a really different approach recently where they've had pop-up stores in some retail environments. But what they're doing in those pop-up stores is only selling their Amazon devices. So they're creating a completely different strategy and approach for the products that are branded Amazon versus all of the products that you buy on Amazon. What's going to be important for Walmart and other retailers is to really have a clear strategy and approach for how they engage with shoppers.
Retail is needing to change to make it something that is more enjoyable, so that it's not just the drudgery of having to go in and pick up commodity items, but it's something more that you will enjoy because you're learning something, you're experiencing something. This current generation is more interested in the experience than actual purchase of material product. They want to know that the brand they're buying is something that they can relate to, and the more they know about it based on their research, whether it's in-store or whether it's at home, the more likely they're going to be to associate with that brand and repurchase in the future.
What I find fascinating about the revolution that we're in currently around retailing is absolutely e-commerce, but to me the key within e-commerce and where I think the future is going to go is mobile. If you look at mobile sales, right, 1/3 of all of the e-commerce sales are done mobilely. So somebody can just pull out their phone and purchase within the matter of seconds. 1/3 of the purchases in store are actually influenced by mobile. And it gets even better if I start to kind of dissect the numbers of mobile. Right now, there are about 8 billion devices globally. They expect that to grow to over 11 billion by 2020. But even in the US, over 2/3 of the entire US population has a mobile device. So to me, it's critically important as Walmart's pushing right with the seamless shopping experience. How do you make all the behind the scenes work with brick and mortar, with e-commerce, and then enabled, right, to then deliver through mobile?
The continuance, I think, and the overwhelming groundswell at all ages is one of the more interesting developments I think that we see in that space today. It's not just millennials who are doing the online shopping. It's not just the millennials who are picking up at store. It's not just the millennials who are moving the needle inside both spaces of the seamless shopping experience. It's virtually the whole population. And when Walmart talks about their customer, they talk about all customers. And I think that's what the suppliers are now coming to value in the offerings that are offered through the Walmart.com space. And as we see the evolution occurring in that and more folks utilizing the digital connection, I think it just bodes well for suppliers who are getting their alignments to those offerings established, and then looking at products that serve all of those generations.
Visit us at 8thandwalton.com to learn how you can become a better partner with Walmart.
Bentonville Commerce, less than 1 mile from the Walmart home office. You'll love the convenience, amenities, and customized options Bentonville Commerce offers. For more information or a tour, call 479-200-1112 today.
You just had your buyer meeting. Now there's follow-up to do. Maybe your buyer wants more on seasonal sales, or invited you to prepare a joint business plan or set up a date for your line review. 8th and Walton can help. Our experts work with you one-on-one in a confidential setting to prepare for your next buyer meeting. The classes we offer help you too. Retail Link, Supply Chain Management, Inventory Management, taught in cities across the country, in Canada, and in Latin America. So before your next buyer meeting, contact 8th and Walton. Then relax, knowing that you will be ready.
The Jet.com purchase is a really interesting opportunity for us to look at how Walmart is continuing to try to reinvent itself. We know Walmart wants to really look at the millennial cohort as one that they can engage with, that they can get in store, that they can make sure that they're connected with in the e-commerce environment. And Jet.com is a really smart way for them to do it. They've gotten very successful very quickly and have a really, really strong consumer base.
The challenge of a successful integration will depend upon the success of the acceptance of the culture. And do they decide to leave it as two separate companies and have Jet's culture be Jet and Walmart.com become its own standalone company, or are they going to roll it into Walmart and embrace the Walmart culture?
They wanted to get into the business of gamification of e-commerce and increasing basket. And that acquisition of Jet.com was really an important strategic move because it will give them access to a group that they, in the past, have had difficulty reaching.
Jet.com is known for the people and for the talent that they have, and so bringing that talent over to Walmart.com is going to be fabulous for Walmart as well as benefit all the suppliers, because if you're not already on Jet.com, now your full product portfolio will not only be available on Walmart.com, but it'll also be available on Jet.com.
Mark has done a brilliant job, right, in what he started with Diapers.com, but he's taken it to a whole new level with Jet.com, and what I'd say by that is that's that algorithm behind Smart Cart. So we've all heard a lot about Smart Cart, and you stop and say, okay, well, what really is it? And it's pretty simple. But what we all know is the simple is really hard to do. The simple part of it, it pretty much just takes what somebody buys in a basket, matches up, right, which distribution center is the most efficient and effective way to ship an item, so you can take the cost of shipping down. The second thing that Smart Cart does is to take shipping costs down even further. It starts to have it takes on a bit of a personality. So what it does is it looks at what do you have in the basket, what is a relevant item, but more importantly, is that relevant item in the same DC your first item's coming from. So then that algorithm will spin a bit, right, and then offer it to the shopper. So it's a great kind of seamless complement, but at the same time on the backside, it's a really efficient and effective complement to then make that entire basket be as high as possible from a ring, but most efficient from a shipping.
I think the Jet.com acquisition by Walmart and Jet.com's acquisition of Hayneedle presents an interesting dilemma for Amazon in that now it pushes Walmart further out into the home extension piece where they have lacked a little bit of support in that home decor environment, that touchstone to that shopper who's looking for that expanded offering. The offer in Jet.com and the Hayneedle position now really vaults them forward in that space. And I think that's a signal to Amazon.com that Walmart's going to be aggressive on all fronts of the digital business.
You could argue that they paid a lot at $3 billion, but it seems to me that it was the one thing that they could do that might change the tide in their competition with Amazon.
Amazon continues to just reinvent itself and to create new businesses and new revenue streams on the e-commerce side that nobody else is even thinking about. So Walmart's footprint of stores, I think, is the differentiator of the two companies, and I think long term, I think Walmart wins.
Our guests enjoy staying at the 21C Museum Hotel and hosting dinner, meetings, and product launches there.
Thank you for joining us for a special episode of Focus on Suppliers. We hope our year in review countdown helped you zero in on some of the most important things you could take with you from 2016. We also want to talk about 2017 and wish you a very happy new year, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and nothing but good fortune in the year to come. We'll see you next season for another great year of Focus on Suppliers. Thanks for joining us and for all your support. Happy holidays.